Hello, my beautiful friends. It's Amanda here, and today we're talking about the latest ColourPop collection. It's all lavender themed, and it's launching today, the day I post this video, Thursday, April 27th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. You can always give it a quick Google if you're not sure what time that is where you live. And if everything goes according to plan, if the YouTube uploading gods smile upon us, then this video should be up before the launch. So hopefully you'll be able to see all the close-ups, swatches, comparisons, all that good stuff before this collection goes up for sale on the ColourPop site. They haven't officially confirmed the prices to me yet, but I'm just guessing based on their previous products that they've already released because we're not seeing any new formulas here. And of course, you can always use my affiliate code. It's just my first name, Amanda, and that will save you 10% on most things on the ColourPop site. As usual, some exclusions will apply to that. And I know that they don't accept codes anymore on value sets, full collection sets, things like that. So keep that in mind. Keep an eye on your cart totals. I always want you to get the best possible deal. I truly appreciate everybody who chooses to support the channel by using my affiliate code. It really helps. It makes a huge difference. It's been a pretty tough year on YouTube this year for a lot of creators. So whoever you choose to support with their affiliate links, with their coupon codes, it makes a big difference. And I know that I can speak for my peers when I say we all really appreciate it. Now I have a lot of close-ups, a lot of swatches and comparisons for you, so let's just jump straight into it. First, with the lip products in this collection, we have two of the So Glassy lip glosses, and they should be priced at around $8 a piece. These are both very shimmery glosses, and they have the same style of packaging, applicator, seems like the same type of formula as all the previously released So Glassy glosses. So if you've used those, you'll know what to expect with this little small precision applicator. Ultimately, I think both of these glosses look so similar that you don't really need both. If you're interested in one of these, I would just grab one. I kind of wish that they had done one gloss and then one like purple luxe lipstick, or this would have been a cool collection to really go for it with a greigey lavender type of lip color. That's just my 2 cents, but you only need one of these, basically, is the gist of it. Now we do have a Super Shock highlighter. This is in the large, sort of squarish, compact, similar shape and size to the Soul Body powders. I'm guessing that this will be around the $12 mark, and this is one of the tie-dye style highlighters. So it does have a mix of colors, and everybody's highlighter at the end of the day will look a little bit different, and depending on what section of this powder you dip into, it can be more white, more bluish. I just tried to take a wide sampling to get all of the shades mixed together for my swatch, and I do find this to be a lot more subtle than I expected based on how it appears in the pan. It's definitely got a blue tinge to it, but it's a soft, icy, silvery white with a lot of sparkles in it. And I did do a little comparison here with some other well-known purpley Super Shock highlighters just to give you an idea. Spellbound and Over the Moon here you can see are quite a bit more of a pink-based purple. Lav Dreams is definitely quite a bit softer and cooler toned compared to these two. Now let's talk about the Super Shock shadows. These are personally my favorite thing in this collection. My guess is these will be around $7 a piece. They do have little special packaging. I always like when they do the different colored screw top pots for the Super Shocks. I just think they're cute, but maybe nobody else cares about that. Now, let's take a close-up look at these three shades. First, we have Angelic. This is an ultra glitter finish. It's a soft silvery lavender. Next is this really bluish lavender called So Surreal, also an ultra glitter. And then we have Social BB, which is an ultra metallic. And this is the deepest, more violet-y take on lavender. Here are all three shadows just finger swatched onto my arm, and I don't see a huge difference in the finish between the ultra glitters and the ultra metallic. It's more noticeable in person than it is on camera, but I think all three of these are lovely and I really enjoy them. No surprise, I love purple eyeshadow, I love Super Shock shadows, so this is really it for me. Here are a few comparisons that I just thought were relevant or people mentioned wanting to see over on my Instagram post. I have a couple hundred Super Shock shadows and I think that these shades are pretty unique. So I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see that that's even still possible. And that's another reason why I love these shadows. Now let's talk about the Lavish palette. This should be priced around $14 US. And just FYI, the ingredients are listed on the box, like the outer carton, but they're not listed on the palette. So if you are somebody who is either interested in ingredients, has allergies or whatever, make sure you hang on to the box for reference. This is an all cardboard palette. There's no mirror inside, and these are the larger pan sizes, the 26mm eyeshadow pans. In here we have one glitter, their new little pearlescent glitters. That's the very first shade, Virtual Love. One matte with glitter, 4 true mattes, and then 3 just regular shimmers. So a wide variety of finishes in here. Although I have to say, these shades do not read very different when swatched on my skin tone at least. Maybe others will notice more of a difference, but I do think that a lot of these shades end up looking more varied in the pan than they are once they're actually applied to the skin. Basically, Virtual Love and Serenity are too similar, Mood Boost and Chillax are too similar, Self-Care Moment and Digital Skies are too similar. For me, I just wish there was a little bit more variety, just adding a little bit more depth or switching up the shifts in the shimmers so they looked a little bit different. Maybe it's just because of the really light shades, but I don't think it's the best formula for me either. Anyway, let's move on to some comparisons. First, starting with this Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. And here you're really going to see what I mean about the formula difference. The mattes and shimmers alike in the Huda palette are just way more opaque and rich versus the Lavish palette. Now, I do think that will work for a lot of people. A lot of people will like that softer, more build it up type of look. So it's just not for me personally, but maybe it's for you, and that's good. Then I'm glad that it exists for you. Let's take a look at some ColourPop palettes now, starting with this In a Daze palette. Obviously, some of these shades are a lot warmer, more of that red-based violet type of shades. And I think here you can tell the difference in how, especially the mattes swatch. And In a Daze just has more color variety as well. It's not monochromatic like Lavish is. We are going to see that same type of trend with the next comparison, which is this In a Trance palette. Now, In a Trance is much lighter than Lavish overall. It stays very much on that light to light mid type of scale tonally, but just like In a Daze, it has a mix of purples, blues, and pinks, so not really much duping happening here, although I could see these working really nicely together. Not necessarily my personal aesthetic, but I think these could be cute companion palettes. Now, speaking of my aesthetic, let's talk about one of my favorite palettes. This is the Lilac You A Lot, and again, you can see this trend continuing. Lilac You A Lot is much warmer, much more of that reddish, pinkish type of tones. Not really any dupe shades to speak of here, but again, I think these could be cute companion palettes if you wanted to cool off the Lilac You A Lot color story a little bit. The next comparison surprised me. This is the All Amethyst palette. This was highly requested. I was actually expecting these two to be a lot more similar color-wise than they are. Again, All Amethyst is surprisingly a lot warmer. I think in my brain I just had this as a cooler toned palette than it actually is, but you can see we're starting to get some dupes here, especially those last three shades. Very similar. Definitely the closest of the 9pan comparisons. Next, I pulled out this Pretty Please palette. This is another one that I think would work really well together. Not so much dupe shades, some of the lighter little sparkly shades, those all tend to look pretty similar, especially once they're applied to the eye. They don't read very differently, but overall I think these are close enough to be complementary color stories, but you're definitely not getting the same looks out of these two palettes, so I think they would work really nicely together. Next, somebody on Instagram requested the purple shades from It's a Mood. I am happy to say that these are not at all similar. The It's a Mood shadows are a little bit warmer, definitely a lot richer, a lot darker. But I do think it's nice to rule this one out because It's a Mood does dupe so many palettes in my comparison swatches. So this is one we can successfully rule out. However, the same cannot be said for my final comparison here. This is definitely the closest to duping the shades on a large scale, and that's the Aurora Struck palette. A lot of these are very similar. Basically just those two matte shades towards the end that are significantly different. But overall, I would say this is the closest dupe in my personal collection, and it's one of my favorites, so there's definitely something about this Lavish palette that's appealing to me, even if this particular set of shadows isn't really my favorite. I still think this is a great release for ColourPop overall. It's definitely something pretty different for the brand, and I know a lot of people are going to like this softer, very cool toned type of palette. I think that this is going to be great for those who are looking for that. Personally, I gravitate a lot more towards the Super Shocks, but that's just because I do prefer a more opaque formula and I prefer a more saturated, varied color story. So if you're the same way, then I would recommend skipping this palette. But if this is what you've been waiting for, you want that soft, buildable, cool toned, little blurpily type of color story, then I think you're gonna love this. Just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it won't work for you. I felt pretty similarly about the All Amethyst palette. I didn't really love that one, and I know that a lot of people really do cherish that palette. So it's all down to taste. Personally, I would go for the Super Shocks, but I would love to hear what you think about this collection. Are you going to be purchasing anything? Are you passing? Are you eagerly awaiting the Aurora Struck restock? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below, and never forget that I love your face, and I will see you real soon. Bye!